President Biden announced all combat troops will be out of Afghanistan by September 11th. But critics say the hard end date could lead to more chaos and give the Taliban free rein to reinstitute harsh Islamic rule. Deborah Alfaron reports.
Good afternoon.
President Biden says it is time to end America's longest war, announcing all U.S. combat troops will leave Afghanistan by September 11th.
I'm now the fourth United States president to preside over American troop presence in Afghanistan. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I will not pass this responsibility on to a 5th.
The deadline marks the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks that started the war. The president says his decision is based on al-Qaeda no longer posing a threat to the U.S. homeland and seeing no military solution to the problems there.
While we'll not stay involved in Afghanistan militarily, our diplomatic and humanitarian work will continue. We'll continue to support the government of Afghanistan.
Some 3,300 U.S. troops will start leaving May 1st, a date the Trump administration had previously negotiated for all of them to be out. On Capitol Hill, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell voiced opposition to the pullout, echoing concerns the Taliban, that controls a portion of the country and harbored al-Qaeda, will regain a foothold and reinstate harsh Islamic law.
Apparently, we're to help our adversaries ring in the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks by gift-wrapping the country and handing it right back to them.
The war cost the U.S. taxpayers trillions of dollars and saw more than 2,400 American lives lost. President Biden visited Section 60 of Arlington National Cemetery after his speech, honoring the sacrifice of troops who died in Afghanistan. Deborah Alfaron, CBS News, Washington.